What's going on, everybody? My name is Aiden and welcome back to another video. Ladies and gentlemen, today we are going to be continuing our draft prospects, ladies and gentlemen, and this time it's not going to be a center. Now, there is actually another center I do need to talk about. That might be tomorrow's video, but I wanted to take a break from a center and focus on another forward, ladies and gentlemen. And today I want to talk about, hopefully I say his name correctly here, Tidjane Salaun. The Frenchman, ladies and gentlemen. He's from France, and he's playing, I believe, in a professional league at this point in time. So, this should be an interesting video, in my opinion, because there's a big difference playing the college level and playing against grown men in a different country. So, there's a lot of differences here, and that actually might make it very hard to come to an ultimate conclusion about him, but we're going to talk about him in this video. Before we get any further, if you liked the video and you want to see more from me, drop a like, drop a follow, and or subscribe if you are new, and let me know in the comments below your thoughts about Tidjane Salaun, and would you take him with the 11th overall pick for the Chicago Bulls? Will he be the next Chicago Bulls player? So what do we need to know about him? Well, outside of the fact he does not play college basketball and he's playing in France at the moment, he is a 6'10" forward. He weighs 205 pounds and he's 18 years of age. So this is also the youngest player that we have talked about thus far. Now, I believe by the time he does actually play a game for the Chicago Bulls, he'll be 19 years of age. So this has happened many, many times where we draft an 18-year-old and by the time they actually are allowed to play, they'll be 19. So yeah, that's something to keep your eyes on. So ultimately, you're going to get someone really young here and has upside at least. But there's key strengths and weaknesses. But before we get into that, his averages are around 9 points per game, 4 rebounds per game, 1 assist per game, shooting 37.3% from the field and 32.2% from the three-point line. Very interesting stuff here, ladies and gentlemen. And ultimately, I look at these stats, and do they look the most amazing in the world? They really don't. They don't look that fantastic to me, at least. But you got to keep your eyes and mind focused on the fact that he is not playing against college-level athletes. He is playing against grown professional basketball players. At least from my understanding. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the highlights that I've seen, I've looked at some of his teammates' ages as well. They are well into their 20s, 30s. He's playing against grown men out there. So it's hard to decipher how good his stats would be if he's playing against people his own level or playing against college level, the same age, same situation and everything in between. But he's not. Some ways that's actually better. I look at LaMelo Ball, for example. He was a player that did play college basketball, but I think he got kicked out if I'm not mistaken. And he went and joined the Australian League, the NBL, for professional experience. And I think that helped him. He didn't have the most amazing stats over in Australia either. But he comes to the NBA with that development and that progression that he can play against professional athletes, guys that are much bigger and much stronger and more competitive, I would say, than the basic college game. And I think that could translate well into the NBA level. So just because his stats don't look that amazing on paper does not mean it can't translate well with more experience, more time, and the experience he already has playing against professionals. It's almost impossible to say that can't translate to the NBA level in some way, form, or fashion. So keep that in mind, especially for an 18-year-old at this point. Still really, really young. So what are his strengths and what are his weaknesses? Well, man, he's got great size, a great wingspan, and very, very, very athletic. Look, this is a player desperate. Like, if there's any pick for a need, this is a player that you could need on this Bulls team. Now, again, we're going to get to that a little bit later about whether or not we should be drafting on needs or best available and stuff of that nature. However, this is the player that will fit a need for the Bulls. He is a forward. We need more forwards. He's 6'10". We have no one that's 6'10", unless you're Vucevic or Drummond playing in the center position. So he's a tall forward, ladies and gentlemen, which is a desperate need. He has ability to be an instant two-way impact in my eyes. Has great two-way potential. Someone that is very aggressive on the defensive end, is willing to put a lot of effort and energy on that side of things, while also willing to put a lot of effort and energy into the offensive end. Now, again, we'll talk about it in the weakness category, but I do have my worries on the offensive end also. But still, very, very good things here. Very good in transition. For someone that athletic is able to run the floor well, the layups I've seen him shoot shows how crazy athletic he is. It feels like he's up in the air for ages when you're watching him trying to come down from a layup. There are some layups that I can't believe he's even taking, and they're falling in, which is really, really nice to see. So, a lot of upside. There's a lot of upside. There's a lot of potential in this player. And if you're going based on potential alone, he might be the steal of the draft because there's not a lot of people that know about him. He's a relatively unknown prospect. No one knows how he's going to translate to the NBA level, but the upside, you can't deny, is there with him. So keep that in mind. But in saying that, there is weaknesses to his game, as there is with everybody that's going to be entering, especially this year's NBA draft. Number one, I really, really do not like his efficiency from the field. At this point in time, 37% from the field, that's really, really low for a forward, in my opinion. You know, you're expecting high 40s, maybe into the 50s and stuff of that nature. 37% is quite low. So that basically means a lot of the shots he's taking, he is missing. So as nice as the highlights are, for example, you see all these highlights on YouTube about how athletic he is, how he could get, he can get some blocks and he can finish really incredible layups and he's in the air for so long and stuff of that nature. You look at that and that's all fine and good, but those are highlights. That doesn't define the full story. The full story is the stat shows he's 37% from the field, which means he's missing a lot more of those shots than he is making. So that needs to be, in my opinion, worked upon. He needs to improve on his shot selection. He needs to improve on the efficiency of his game. And that goes out to the three-point line as well. We want a forward that can shoot threes. 32% from the three-point line at this point in time is something that you could be willing to take a risk on, but that is below league average. So you do want to see that increase when he gets to the NBA as well. Someone that is willing, able, and capable of shooting the three. I look at him, I see he's capable. 32% is not incapable of shooting a three. I can only hope that that can improve over time as well. That needs to improve over time. Hopefully there'll be people working on him with that. He's a very raw prospect. I guess the ultimate comparison you can give him to is another player that we've talked about from the draft perspective. It's Cody Williams. I talked about Cody Williams as one of the first players we've mentioned thus far. And I really liked what Cody Williams brought to the table. But you could see what type of player he can be. I don't necessarily think Cody Williams is a raw talent. I think it's a talent that's defined at this point in time. Someone that has great two-way capabilities, can knock down the three at a good level, but has really strong defensive capabilities. I look at this individual and I don't necessarily see I see it, but I still think there's so much that you could get out of him. There's a lot of things that I feel personally we don't know about him yet that could really transform his game. There's so much I don't know about him yet, and that is an exciting thing to think about, but also could be a weakness that he might not be all he's cracked up to be. Let's continue. He's a very unreliable passer. I believe the scouting report that I saw showed that he had a negative assist to turnover ratio, which means he's turning the ball over more than he's actually playmaking for his team. That to me is a big worry. Ultimately, as a forward on this team, you're going to have some responsibility playing the right passes and making the right choices. You have to be able to do that at the NBA level. That needs to be improved upon. So, a couple of weaknesses there and a couple of positives there, but ultimately, in my opinion, an unknown prospect. That's how I view him, at least. There's no surprise right now that many NBA scouts are looking at him just because when you're in a different country, you are an unknown prospect. So there's still so much that me personally, and I think everybody can fully admit, we just don't know enough about him yet. But he has projected to go a lot higher than his original position. His original position was meant to be, late first round. There are a lot of people now thinking he's going to go within the top 10. So that being said, would I take him with the 11th overall pick? Well, that has to ask the question, are you going to go for the best available or are you going to go for a need? If you go for a need, I think he could be a very good addition to the Bulls. He is going to fit needs that we desperately need. We need size, we need athleticism, we need someone that can rebound the ball in that position. I think he ticks all those categories with the potential to be able to improve his efficiency. Is he the best available? I don't personally think he is the best available. So that will ultimately define your decision. He has a lot of raw potential and a lot of upside. Is that going to be worth the risk of him might not turning out to be as good as he could be? we'll have to wait and see. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay tuned for more. Take care, and peace.